Americans, countrymen, lend me your ears. We come to give you advice on stocks, not to praise them. We know you want to get rich this season, and we're here to help you do so. You're listening to the Christmas special of Lady Stockings, brought to you by your favorite investors, Aleena Quach, and
Reagan Brown.
it's December 24th, and on today's episode, we will break down for you the latest updates, analysis, and predictions on Apple's and Tyson's food stocks, and how that math can be applied in the real world.
Since the holidays are coming up, there's no better time to invest to make sure you have enough money to buy all those Christmas gifts. Personally, Aleena and I love to spend the holidays inside with a cozy blanket and a cup of hot chocolate. When it's too cold to go out, our Apple iPhones are our best friend. You can stream movies, talk with friends, video call them, and even monitor those stocks you bought all on one device.
Even better, to truly experience a theater at home experience, our Apple iMacs really take our breaths away with those superior 4.5K Retina displays, stereo speakers, and lightning fast connections so that you can stream those Apple TV movies as fast as you want with the highest quality possible. This season, treat yourself to the newest iPhone 16 or choose one of the many colors Mac 24-inch has to offer by Apple.
One of the things that makes the holiday so special is sharing a meal with your family. This season, Tyson Foods is here to supply you and your family with all you can need for a delicious meal with the family. You can find Tyson at your local Walmart, Kroger, Whole Foods, and Target for a great price. Wherever I cook with Tyson Foods, my family always asks me what my secret is to the meal, and I tell them it's Tyson Foods. This is a sponsored message. So, let's get it started. I invested in Tyson Foods in 2015, and I wanted to share my data with you because I've made a lot of money since. Maybe you can give me some advice on when to sell?
Oh, hello, fellow investor, or investor in Spanish. Cognate alert. What's Tyson? I've never heard of it.
Tyson Foods is a food processing company. It's the world's second largest processor and marketer of chicken, beef, and pork. This is after JBS. It's the largest meat company in America.
Wow, what a coincidence. Guess what? My investment in Apple's stocks also paid off. In case you didn't know, Apple is the largest global manufacturer of technological devices such as smartphones, tablets, computers, the list goes on. Since this company is so popular, the current stock price is pretty expensive compared to when I bought it. When I bought the shares in 2015, the price of just one stock was $33.63. Now, it's at $138.79. Did you know that price in Spanish is precio? These two math terms sound very close, meaning they are cognates. How much did you buy your stock for?
So when I bought mine, it was $54.42 per share. And now it's $94.24 per share.
Since Apple has released so many new products, like the new iPhones and iPads every year, their stocks have continued to rise exponentially from 1985 to 2020 because people are excited to try out their new products. Let me show you my data table for Apple stocks and show you what I mean. Um, 1 second, guys. Okay. So, this is my data table for Apple. So as you can see, right here was 1985 when I first started. When I started recording the company, and 2020 is when I ended. So my start date is 1985 and my end date is 2020. Um, so in 1985, the highest price for an Apple stock was 14 cents. And you can see how that's increased exponentially in 2020, where the highest price is $138.79. So, um, sorry. So this increase is mainly due to the release of Apple's new products every year. So, as you can see, Apple has continued to release new products every year, and that's attracted more customers. And as Apple has gone more popular, the prices have started increasing a lot more because they've like their products are more widespread and more they have more of a global influence, so more people want to try those products out, resulting in a higher company value, therefore attracting more investors. Then.
So as you can see from my data, in 1985, it started off with $9.89. And then after 5 years, it got to $11.58. This is when it starts. It for a lot of years, it stays pretty consistent because in the next 5 years, there's only $18.33, then $17.38, and then $19.91. So we're not seeing too much of an increase in either of these states. But they may go, and then in the last 15 years is when it starts getting interesting because it goes up to $20.57, and then it goes to $54.42 and $94.24. So we can see it's increased a lot, especially as we go to 2020, and that's because of the demand for food. As the more people um, as we have more people, then there's more demand for food. And as this company has grown, it's become more efficient, like I said, and it has become one of the largest in the entire country. So we have quite the reliance on these foods that are very common in our households. And food, especially because it's a very consistent industry, we are always going to have a need for it, and that's why it's done pretty well, as you can see by the increase in the exponential growth of their stock prices. There's quite a demand for investors because they know it's a very stable company that's been around for a long time and it's not going down anytime soon.
Hmm. You know what's interesting? It's possible to create an equation for an exponential graph using just the data points. It's called an exponential regression model. A fun fact, I just realized the Spanish word regresión is also a cognate of the English word regression, and the Spanish word modelo is another cognate of the English word model. Isn't it crazy how math words are similar across different languages? Anyways, to get the equation right here, um, I used 1985 as my starting point and 2020 as my ending point. Oops, right here. Okay, it's not working for some reason. I calculate the number of years from 1985 to 2020 in 5-year intervals, right here. And the highest price per share for those years, which is right here. Then I plugged in the numbers side by side into my calculator. The calculator steps were stat, edit, plug in numbers, quit, mode, calc, 0, calculate, and there you have your equation with the two variables. By the way, the exponent above the b variable is just t for time, which is right here if you can see it. After that long calculation, my equation turned out to be f of t equals 0.1 times 1.2 to the power of t. Reagan, did you make an equation as well?
It's funny because I did too. Um, I used the same steps actually with my calculator. I typed in all those the steps and I plugged in my numbers. But first, well, my equation after I calculated was f parentheses t equals 8.44 times 1.06 to the power of t. That's the regression for my data. It's
Going back to my stock, which is a supermassive black hole because the stock has such a strong magnetic pull, no one can resist it. I use the percent increase equation right here, which is new amount minus original amount over original amount, all times 100. So when I plugged it in, it was 138.79, which is a 2020 variable, minus 14 cents, which was the original amount of 1985, over 14 cents again, times 100, and I got a whopping number of 99,035%, which means that from 1985 to 2020, there is a 99,035% increase, which is crazy. What about you, Reagan?
that's a pretty big number. My number was pretty big too, but not that large. In order to find the percent increase from 1985's price to 2020's price, I did the new amount minus the original amount divided by the original amount and multiplied that by 100. I got approximately 852%, so that means between 1985's price to 2020's, they had approximately an 852% increase.
Wow, it sounds like both of our stocks were pretty successful. Yay to both of us!
To predict the price of the stock in 2024, I had to plug in my new time value into my equation, where that parentheses time was above in the first equation. That's where I plugged it in. So after calculating, I got $81.90.
That's another Spanish English cognate. Prediction in Spanish is predicción, which is very similar to its English counterpart. Anyways, for my prediction, um, I plugged in 39, okay, I plugged in 39 years right here to, sorry, I plugged in 39 years after 1985 into my t. My t was right here, so right here. And so it was f of t, f of 39 equals 0.1 times 1.21 to the power of 39. And after calculating, my 2024 prediction was $169.29 for one stock.
So the next thing we needed to do was find out the percent error of our actual equations. We could see how accurate we were. And to that we had to find the percent error. So I took my predicted price of stock in 2024, which was $81.90, and I subtracted it from the mid price of the 52-week range of stock by looking at their stock prices from the Yahoo Finance, and subtracted it from my predicted 24 stock price and then divided it by the same predicted number. The last step is to multiply that number by 100 to get the percent error of my equation, which was roughly around 30% or so. So I'd say that's pretty good. It means my equation is more accurate, but it is a positive number, so it means obviously it wasn't entirely accurate, seeing as my stock eventually, in real life, did go down afterwards, which was not what was predicted from the equation.
When comparing my 2024 prediction with the actual stock price, which was $204.36, we can calculate the percent error of my equation. To calculate this, like Reagan said, you take the mid number of the 52-week range stock prices. So what you do is you take the highest number, 244.63, minus lowest number, 164.08, over 2, and then you add all of that into the lowest number, 164.08. So when plugging that into the percent error equation, it's your predicted stock price minus the mid-range price over the mid-range price times 100. So that was negative 17% for me, which is perfect because the negative value means that I undervalued the stock price, and the actual stock price increased more than expected. This increase could be due to expanding customer interest in Apple's products, causing the company to grow bigger and attract more investors.
I think it's important to compare our data so that we can learn from this in the future. And I think after hearing your data, you probably have the best stock. Not because of the exponential growth, and which your stock price growth has exceeded mine quite a lot, but also the negative percent error, which, as you said, is works in your favor because it means you undervalued it, whereas mine was overvalued.
I think so too. After all, as you can see, I had the comparison table right here. Um, um, so as you can see, my stock price turned out to be lower in 1985 than Reagan's. However, in 2020, my stock price was higher than hers, which means I had a higher exponential growth, and that's reflected in the percent increase from 1985 to 2020. Mine was 99,035%, while Reagan's was 852%. And my 2024 percent error was negative 17, while hers was 30%. This can also be seen in the graphs of the actual stocks itself. So this is Apple's graph as of right now. 1985 is right here and 2020 is around right here. So as you can see, I had a pretty steady exponential increase right here, whereas Reagan's Tyson's Foods, 1985 was right here approximately, and 2020 is here. As you can see, she had much more fluctuations in her data. So it went up and it went down and then went up. So it's a lot more volatile than Apple's stocks. And because of my higher percent increase and negative percent error, that equates to a better predicted future due to a higher exponential growth for my stock. And this mathy stuff, and this mathy stuff isn't just for school. Real life stock investors can also use exponential regression models to predict the future stock prices.
Exactly. All they have to do is find the data points of the past stock prices in years and plug the numbers into a calculator, and bam!
However, investors do need to be careful when using equations to predict future prices, as these exponential regression models have limitations. Stock prices tend to be very volatile. It can fluctuate dramatically, as you can see in Reagan's Tyson Foods graph, due to external factors such as customer interests and other major company competitors.
These external factors can play a major role in deciding company stock prices and can decrease the accuracy of the equation's predictions.
For instance, in my Apple stocks 2024 prediction, I undervalued the stock's price, and the actual value turned out to be even more expensive than my original prediction. Factors such as new product releases, like Apple's new iPhone and iPad models every year, could encourage more customers to purchase products, therefore increasing the company's value and attracting more investors.
Additionally, the relevance of the company's products can be a deciding factor in whether customers continue to purchase their products. For example, Tyson Foods. Food will always be a necessity, and because of that, Tyson Foods has stayed pretty consistent as far as stock prices goes in the last few years. Whereas something like, I don't know, flip phone, probably not as relevant in current day society and might not actually increase as well as in stock. So it's important to mention that, though, that even basic necessities like food can be impacted due to economic changes to customers. Since COVID and inflation, Tyson has been down a lot for the last few years, where it had previously been going up before that. COVID is one of the external factors that we are talking about because it had a major impact on business and the overall economy of the nation.
In short, don't just rely on an exponential regression growth model when deciding on whether to invest in a stock. Generally, investors tend to buy a stock when it's at a low price, and they will hope for the stock to increase in value later on. They can usually predict the business's future by using these exponential regression models and the external factors mentioned earlier.
Okay, thanks for listening to today's episode of Lady Stockings on Apple and Tyson Food stock. Today we analyzed, compared, and contrasted Tyson Food and Apple stocks as well as gave our advice on buying stocks. We discussed how to create a regression equation and plug in data to predict future stocks. And then we also showed our percent errors compared. At the end, we explained the potential external factors and their effects on the stock.
This episode was honestly really informative to us as well. I had no idea what an exponential regression model was, and I'm sure Reagan didn't either. And thanks to this project, I realized that it was possible to predict a stock's possible future price. The process was really simple. All that was needed were the data points, years, and a calculator. I will definitely be using that equation and data when I start investing in stocks in the future.
Similarly to Aleena, I was unfamiliar with regression and predictions. I had always wondered about future stock and how professionals can predict the future prices. So now that I know, thanks to this episode of Lady Stockings, I can even create my own exponential regression equation and find the percent error, as well as create my own predictions. So this has totally changed my view on stocks.
Make sure to show your favorite investors your love by signing up for our podcast newsletter, sent to you by yours truly every week, so you won't miss any new episodes and specials. It would be a wonderful Christmas present to Reagan and I if we could have your subscription and your 5 stars rating. If you want to hear more specials like these, just leave a review below, and we'll make sure to bring you more insights and advice on stocks. And if you have any ideas on what stock you would like to analyze, make sure to share your thoughts in the comments.
We hope you and your family have a wonderful holiday season filled with joy and cheer, and that you can enjoy some quality family time on your Apple iMac watching the latest and hottest shows on Apple TV. Perhaps savor the delicious steak or roasted chicken for our big annual family holiday gathering using great ingredients from Tyson Foods. Thanks again for listening in on today's podcast. Hope all our listeners have an amazing holiday and see you again on our next episode.
Goodbye,
Goodbye,
everyone.
everyone.